What's up everybody, it's Charles, and today we're turning the Mark 5 into a race car. No, we can't have a proper race car without a cold air intake. So we're gonna be installing it on the Mark 5 GTI. So I say that mostly kidding. What we're actually trying to do is get rid of this completely destroyed and busted intake. It's not sitting well, the filter's not sealing. So we're gonna get rid of this for something that's gonna clean up the engine compartment, as well as probably filter air a little bit better. So we got a lot of stuff in here. It's like an intake pipe, some sticker goodies, and a license plate frame. There's another pipe. This one feels like it has the airflow meter housing in it. Some couplers, an elbow, a bag of clamps, this thing, some more couplers, instruction booklet, our filter unit, and our installation bracket. Before getting started, I like to unwrap everything and do a quick inspection on it to be sure we have everything and that nothing is damaged. All right, next step is to remove the old engine cover. Carefully disconnect the airflow meter and set that connector to the side. Undo the clamps at the back. Pull that little boot out. If your engine cover is in good shape and you want to salvage it, you grab it here and you gently pull up. If it's in the condition like ours is, you can do what someone else did already and grab it here and basically just pull it off. As you can see, this entire thing is destroyed, so we're just going to get rid of it. At the very front of the car is part of the ducting. This is actually secured to the core support with two T25 screws. Now, ours isn't exactly secured. There was no screws in it, so we can just go ahead and lift it out. But you will have to remove the two screws in order to get yours out. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the intake pipe. First, you're gonna need to remove the clamp down at the bottom. You can use something like long needle nose pliers. This works pretty well for that. Reach down and pull your boot off. This piece right here that goes in the boot is a pretty common place to leak. So if you have an intake leak, this may be a good place to search. Next, we're going to put our first coupler on. Now, the coupler we're gonna install at the turbocharger is actually reduced down. The opening that goes to the turbocharger is smaller than the top opening. You can see the step right inside of here. This is where our pipe for the airflow meter is gonna go. Next, we need to take our airflow meter out of our old housing. If you want, this is a good opportunity to mark it so that you remember which way to install it in the new pipe. Otherwise, just remember the rounded end goes to the turbocharger, or just rewatch this video like 100 times and you'll be able to see it. It's held in with two T20 screws. Then we can just slide our airflow meter out. Now, our kit came with two new machine style screws to install our airflow meter into our new housing. It's gonna sit a little bit different than the factory one did. Our rounded end of the connector housing is going to face towards the curve of the pipe. And we'll just drop that in and go ahead and tighten it down. Here's our airflow meter installed, and this is the long end. This is gonna go into the turbocharger, and you can see our rounded end of the connector is facing it. All right, next we're going to drop our clamp down, and then we'll take our pipe and install it. Now, I'm not gonna snug this back clamp down till we have the whole intake in case we need to shift it around and move it a little bit. Next, we're gonna put our heat shield on. The heat shield actually covers up some of the coolant hoses, which is pretty awesome. This mounts with two bolts in the front. That's where our ducting that was bolted to the core support was, so it's gonna replace that. And then one screw right here that goes onto the battery tray. So we'll take and we'll set this in. For the mounting of the battery tray, we're gonna use this isolation piece, and it's gonna thread right in. Next, we're gonna put the T25s at the front into the core support. Go ahead and put our next pipe on. Got our coupler, let's not forget our hose clamps. Make sure they're facing the same direction. We'll go ahead and set that on there. Next, we're gonna put our reducer piece on, but first, a hose clamp. Next, we're gonna put our big boy elbow on. First, a hose clamp. This is gonna go in this reducing elbow piece. Now, as we bring the intake pipe around, there's a little bracket on this big elbow that's gonna sit in that piece we installed. That's gonna be our mounting point for our elbow. We'll go ahead and put the washer and nut on to hold the elbow. Now that our piping is installed in the car, it's time to fine-tune the fitment of the piping. I'm going to start at the one that's a fixed point and work my way backwards. Next, we'll move to our middle section and our final one down by the turbo. So we don't forget, let's route and plug in our airflow meter. Actually, I think I like it underneath just a little bit better. In our final steps, we're going to go ahead and put the air filter on. Be careful not to put the filter in too far. You don't want the pipe sticking into the filter that much. It'll actually cause like weird airflow tumble issues. So just put it on a little ways. That's a good spot right there. Go ahead and snug this clamp down. We also have this little short piece of trim that we need to install over the top of our duct / heat shield. That goes like that. Now, all we gotta do is experience the race car. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Questions or comments, drop them down below. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again next time. Oh, and this was just a straight install video on this cold air intake. We are going to be installing another intake on a different car where we will be doing things like measuring intake air temperature and see what change it has on that, as well as maybe several other factors.